let me introduce this special guest here. We got JJ Gorena. He's with the trade group, and his partner, Bobby. They've been in real estate for about 18 and a half years. Previously, they were with Keller Williams. And Alan and I definitely did some work with convincing them to take a look at the eXp commercial. And after several meetings, several weeks, several months of finally making it happen, the team came over and they're absolutely crushing it over here at eXp in San Antonio with commercial. And so without further ado, I could go on. This resume is incredible. Without further ado, my good friend, JJ, take it away, my friend. Welcome.
Hey, man. Thank you so much. Sorry for the technical difficulties there, brother. But yeah, you make it sound like you see me down, but that really wasn't the case. As you know, I was with Keller Williams for, I think it was 17 and a half years. Alan Grillick had, oddly enough, had called me up about a commercial lead a couple of years ago. And we sat down, had coffee, and it was, went over the lead and stuff like that. And I remember I think Alan's exact words were like, I think you're 100% unrecruited. But if you ever decide to look at a different model, just make sure that I'm the first call. So when that happened, he was definitely my first call, because he was the only one, if you can believe this or not, he was the only one that actually asked. He was the only person that had ever asked to have the opportunity to kind of explain the model to me. All the other guys that I know that went to eXp, all the other girls that I know that we went to eXp, they never asked, but Alan did. And so I'm a man of my word, so I definitely called him up for sure.
I love it. Well, let's kind of talk about the transition with you guys, because I know that you guys were franchisee owners with Keller Williams, and
Sure.
This comes up a lot about talking to big leaders like yourself and Bobby.
Yeah.
Transition over, and I know there were some lawsuits with Keller Williams, and I don't want to get into that too much, whatever. But there were a lot of frustrations along the way, and we just had to figure out, okay, what's our next road bump? How can we get around this? What can we do? What's the best way? And we had to bring Gene Frederick involved, and we had to talk to him and figure out the legal side of things. And so guys, the reason why I'm saying this is don't let KW their threats that they'll put on you stop you from the team leader, the broker, the franchisee owner exiting out, unwinding everything from their agreements to come over to eXp, because it's going to change Bobby and JJ's lives. What they have done, what they're doing is incredible. They're growing extremely fast, and we'll get to their rev share numbers here in just a little bit, though. But kind of walk through the process. And I know you got a lot of threats in the mail, and from their you've got legal side on your side, representation with your family, and
Sure.
We laughed about this, for several months, going back and forth about what KW was trying to do to you. So kind of explain that little situation to the group.
Yeah, I mean, being with KW for so long, and by the way, I love KW. The experiences I had with KW, the growth that I had with KW, was awesome. The company itself, the opportunities, all that kind of stuff was great. During my journey with Keller Williams Realty, had the opportunity to, a lot of different roles. I interim TL, I was an OP of Keller Williams in Laredo, got ownership of that. Also became part of apps with the One Thing coaching and doing seminars. Just a lot of, I was called Keller. I was the most Kellerized guy in San Antonio, they would say, right? I was this big red guy. But yeah, with that, it was really tough, when you switch over and you own a franchise, there's non-compete clauses and stuff like that they try to enforce, but of course they're more generic. For the most part, we had to settle out of with you never had to pay any money back of any of the franchise stuff that I paid. I gave them or gave it back. But I did have to negotiate out of my franchises. I did have to get sued, I guess, or not sued, but at least, I got, some letters from lawyers just saying that, you can't join eXp, or you can't pretty much do real estate in general for 2 years. But of course, those clauses are very generic, and you have to get legal stuff. I would say the best thing ever is when I came over, Scott Lewis, and man, there's a bunch of people that I had never met in my life that were calling me from this organization saying like, hey man, you're not the first guy, you're not going to be the last guy. I got so many, just full, like just taking hours of guys' times. I was like, look, you're going to have to go through this and talk to these people. I got referred a really good lawyer through eXp. And that was shocking because, day one, I'm getting this like brotherhood and this family vibe from just, you, Alan, obviously, Scott. And there's like these guys at the very top of organization taking time out of their day to sit with me and kind of, pep talk me and say, you're okay, man. We're just gonna, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get to the other side. But yeah, that was remarkable. I feel like more than anything, the testament. Again, I have nothing bad to say about KW. They're great, #1 training company in all industries in the world, and I get it. But when you see the transition from this one organization trying to enforce, non-compete, going to a new organization that is helping you and not even know anything about you, that was one of the biggest things that made me feel really comfortable being here at eXp for sure.
Love it, man. That's huge right there. And guys, he said it right there. We've got a lot of big leaders at the very top. And everybody thinks that they're super busy and they're not going to take the time to help us out. Guys, they will. That's what they're there for, right? And we did have to get corporate involved, and some of the top leaders that have been able to unwind their franchises from Keller Williams and figure out the process and what can we do. We didn't want to get ourselves in trouble. We didn't want to get eXp in trouble, right? And so there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, and the leaders know the exact. And so that's why we did reach out to our leaders, Scott Lewis, Gene Frederick, that have all been with Keller Williams and know the process to help us. So guys are working with any leaders, that are wanting to make the switch over to eXp, and they're telling you that they can't because of this, and this. Let's look into it, dive into it, right? We worked with, Alan and I worked with JJ and Bobby for a long time. I don't even know, it might have been a year. We worked and we met, we had lunches, and we had to go to off-site places where no one could see us because we didn't want other agents to see us meeting with them because they knew what we were going to be talking about, which is eXp, right? So we went to restaurants I've never even been in San Antonio. JJ was taking us around to all these little dive restaurants, which was fun. I got to see some new restaurants and have some new food and have some new cocktails with them. But we met some crazy places, like strangest places in San Antonio, because we didn't want other agents to see us meeting because they knew what we were talking about, which was the transition for them over to eXp. And it was hard. It was difficult. It was a long journey, and we couldn't say anything. We couldn't, we had to keep it, full disclosure and not, let the cat out of the bag and ruin their reputation and then ruin the transition over. And then it was just going to blow up on us all. And so, Alan, if you want to say anything about the transition, man, this is your time to shine right here, because I'm so proud of you. And we definitely learned a lot. And yes, we had some frustrations, and, we didn't know when it was going to happen, but damn it, we made it happen. Right. And so, moral of the story, don't give up. There's a way to get these big dogs over that are tied to franchises, that are tied to agreements, and we made it happen. So, Alan, you want to kind of chime in on?
Yeah, absolutely. And Pat, you touched on it. It's leveraging your upline and realizing that you don't have to do everything on your own, and sometimes you really can't. JJ and Bobby, they're heavy hitters, and what I did is I got resourceful, and the first call I made was to Pat. And Pat, I'm sure you remember that call because I was probably, pretty emotional about like, hey, how do I handle this? So the best thing we could ever have done was we did it together. And, we got calls set up with Scott Lewis. So we got calls set up with Gene Frederick, and not just one or two, it was for several months. But I think that was the big takeaway, Pat, was just, getting resourceful and using the resources that we have here at eXp. And their leadership that's always around us, for sure.
That's right. That's it, man. And not giving up. This was a big one. Whenever Alan, gave me the phone call and said, "Hey, you're not going to believe who's wanting to come over, and I think we need to start the process and get the big the big boys involved and get Scott Lewis and Gene Frederick and Rob Flick and even corporate involved. And I was like, well, who is it? Who's the, he said, you can't say a word. I said, no, I won't. Trust me, I'm not going to blow this for us, but I want to know who it is. And he told me, and I was like, wow, this is going to make a huge dent in San Antonio. It's going to be a big announcement. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait. All right, so let's do it. Let's get to work, right? And so we did, right? And I think it took us about a year. JJ and Alan, is that about right? It was about a year or so, right?
I mean, if anyone would like watch it looked like me and an affair. And shout out to the Purple Garlic off of 281. We're meeting in really like secluded little restaurants and stuff like that. But we met probably 7 or 8 times, and it wasn't that it was like a really you guys were trying to even really. I think we had already. And by the way, after leaving Keller Williams after 17 and a half years, eXp and you guys were not the only people we talked to, right? You can imagine almost 2 decades with one company. We really did go flirt. We talked to Real, all the way up. I talked to the head guys in that organization, Cooper Sotheby's. I talked to, every single franchise that you can think of, including some of the boutique brokerages here. Same disclosure, right? No one talked about that, but and I want to jump into that if I can, Pat, a little bit, because
absolutely, man. This is your time. You bet.
As much as I want to make it sound like you and Alan are these awesome recruiters, I'm just kidding. But at the day, the biggest, everyone asked me like, how did you leave KW after so long? And again, nothing bad to say about that company. They're one of the best, right?
Yeah.
They are the best, right? Right now, if anything, we're on the heels of them, not vice versa. So right now, they're the big guys, right?
Yeah.
And the best story that I can tell anyone about why I joined eXp was this. I was sent out to Laredo, Texas to create a franchise, right? I was the first operating principal, the OP. And when you're doing that for Keller Williams, there's really great training, and they give you, well, they don't give you, but you pay for a maps coach. And I was being mentored by a guy, and he told me, look, it's going to be really tough because somewhere like Laredo, they had never had a Keller Williams franchise before. So they didn't understand what a cap was. They didn't understand what, like, they didn't understand nor revenue share, no nothing. They're old school, border town, which I knew a lot about because that's where I'm from too, that kind of a city. And he said, it's going to be tough. And long story short, he said, in the beginning, they're just going to ignore you. And I got really frustrated. I called him up and I said, maybe I'm not the right fit for this role. I would get there and go every single week, and I would do and then everyone here, if you're looking at when you recruit for a living, like you do, Pat, like you're in production, but right now you're in attraction mode, right? There's 2 ways to recruit. You can go from top down, meaning I'm going to get the JJs of the world. I'm going to get the Allens of the world. I'm going to get these really head-turning agents, and I'm going to convince them to come over to our organization, right? So that's called top down, or bottom up. Bottom up is like, hey, I'm going to call these agents that just got out of Champion School of Real Estate, and I'm going to call them up and tell them the opportunity, because you never know who the next Alan Grillick or the next Pat Hayes or the next AJ is going to be, right? Because in real estate, it's a crapshoot, right? You can have a really talented person that is out of the game in 6 months, and you can have a very tenacious and coachable person that's going to be the next big agent. So you're doing top down, bottom up. Right. Both top down and bottom up agents were ignoring me. They were hanging up on my calls or laughing on the phone, and they're like, I was saying bad words in both English and Spanish, and they're hanging up on me. I was feeling really defeated, and he said, you know what? This changed my life, Pat. That's what I want to talk about in this call.
Yeah.
He said, look, just put your head down and do the work from the training that you had. And don't really, I'm not going to call you. Don't call me. Stop paying me or whatever. But don't call me back until they make fun of you. And I thought that was the weirdest thing to say. He goes, yeah, but don't call me back until they make fun of you. They're ignoring you right now, which is fine. If they make fun of you, call me back. So I'm sitting, if anyone knows Laredo, McPherson and Del Mar, there's this the only big Starbucks there in the city. I'm talking to a brand new agent that just got out of the Champion School of Real Estate. I see this guy grab his coffee and beeline to my table. And he interrupts my conversation mid-conversation very rudely. And he goes, "Hey, don't you work for Sherman Williams?" Which I thought was kind of funny, by the way. And yeah. And I go, "You mean Keller Williams?" He goes, yeah, the pyramid thing. I'm like, yeah, I work for Keller Williams. And he made fun of me in front of the girl, gave the recruit his card. He was a broker. And then he walked away.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know, I was really taken back, you know, from that incident. And I called my mentor and I said, "Hey, I guess they made fun of me." And he goes, "Awesome. Call those big agents back. The ones that were ignoring you in the beginning, the ones that were hanging up on you, the ones that were making fun of you, or, you know, just cussing at you or whatever, call them back." And Pat, and like, at that point, I'd been trying to recruit for over a year and a half and really no traction, to be honest with you. And it was really frustrating.
Yeah.
But from that point to 5 weeks later, I had 39 letters of intent to
Wow.
open the franchise. Yeah, it was really, really quick. And that changed my life. And let me tell you why, because then I call the guy back, my mentor. I go, "Okay, so now what I do?" He goes, "Well, now we know when they copy us." And sure enough, when I started ruffling a lot of feathers and I started grabbing some really big agents from these boutique brokerages in Laredo, all of a sudden, one of the boutique brokerages, they created an $18,000 cap. Someone else created a $21,000 cap. Someone else went from 60-40 to 70-30. We had a bunch of people copying us. And so I called them back and I said, "Well, look, man, we're getting copies. Congratulations, bro, you're fired." He goes, "You did your duty. You get your percentage of the company, you know, go back to your family," type of thing. And that rubbed me the wrong way too, because I was like, man, I've been killing it and just putting my head down and working for this franchise for like over a year. So the next time I saw him at a conference, I beeline to him and I said, "Hey man, why did you tell me to, you know, wait till they made fun of me and wait till they copied me?" And this was when the pivotal turning point in my life. He said, in every single industry, when there's something happening that's disrupting the industry, and it doesn't matter, by the way, if it's real estate, loans, home warranty, bank, doesn't matter. It could be medical. It doesn't matter. He says, you get it. At first they ignore you, and then they make fun of you, and then they copy you.
Yep.
And he said, but once they copy you, man, it's game over. So he told me, so once, you know, they started copying us in Laredo, that was it. I knew we won. So I let you, you know, you did your due diligence. And at the time I was doing the radio show every single week. And I remember telling my business partner, Bobby, I was like, bro, you know, it was really eye-opening for me. So whenever I heard of any agent being made fun of, I would say, wait, who are you making fun of? And I wanted that person in front of me immediately, because I knew that they were making the rest of the industry, they're rattling them, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
like I have interviews with like Scott Maloof, like first year into the industry, right?
Wow.
So now he's one of the biggest agents that we've ever heard of, right? In San Antonio.
Yeah.
But people just talking mess about this, like, and I go, "Scott, what?" And I'm literally writing, okay, because if you're making fun of this person, they're making you uncomfortable, right?
Right.
So fast forward, I'm an owner at KW, a regional meeting, and man, we took an hour of our business planning, Pat. We took an hour making fun of this little company that I'd never heard of called eXp. And I call my business partner, right? I go, "Hey, bro, have you heard of this company called eXp?" And he's like, "Nah." I was like, "Huh, man, they're making fun of this company really hard, right? Saying like penny stocks and avatars. I don't want to get into it, but like they were making fun of you all really hard." And I said, "Look, man, me and my business partner, we share a money market account." And I go, "Hey, I don't know anything about this company. You and I love playing craps. Let's gamble." So we put 10 grand, you know, on EXPI, man. And, you know, I don't have to tell you how much that was around 2017, right?
Woo.
And I was ready to look at the model at that point. I think I'm glad that we didn't take it too, I'm glad that we didn't start meeting in our little rendezvous first watch places at that time.
Yeah.
Because I did, you know, with all the faults, and we can all admit now, eXp was very embryonic still, right? They probably weren't ready for all the commercial stuff that we're trying to do and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of glad that the can got pushed down the road, but this is when the can stopped for me. If you really want to know why I came over, there's other reasons that kind of like pushed me into it, but then, so that was 2017, and then 2021 happens. So happens, right? And it's chaos. And then 2021 happens, and I'm on a call, and then all of a sudden, the regional person, the lady that ended up sending me the legal letter.
Yep.
She goes, "Hey, this is awesome. Have you heard?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Hey, so Gary came out, Gary Keller, the infallible Gary Keller the first, right? He came out to let us know that we're gonna go public." I go, "What does that mean?" He's like, "That's it. Like, we're gonna have, there's gonna be KW stocks one day." And I go, "Nah, now you're copying." See, we ignored them, right?
Right.
Then we made fun of them,
Right.
right?
Now
You're copying them. And I turned to my business partner, Bobby. I was like, "Are you ready, bro? Because I'm not gonna polish the brass on the Titanic, man. We gotta go, right?" Like, and I'm gonna also say, like, back in the day, my dad was a gold jacket C21 guy. He was a gold jacket C21, real estate guy. My dad, in the 80s, and I remember his buddy Larry Norby kind of screwed my dad, and he went to go open up a Coldwell Banker franchise. If you remember, Coldwell Banker had all of the relocation contracts in the entire U.S. Right.
Right.
So my dad, had he kind of lost his mojo. Larry took over. He took over the Coldwell Banker, and then Larry's brother Eric opened up kind of screwed Larry, and then he opened up a Remax franchise, right? And then when I came into the industry, Eric tried to recruit me, but I was like, "Nah, I heard about this little company called, KW, right?"
Yep.
And look, my whole life I've been seeing the Titans rise and fall, right? But when you recognize patterns like that, C21 was the only international brokerage in the 80s, right? Then Coldwell Banker said, "Hey, we can have this network, right, of relocation leads for agents in the 90s." And then Remax said, "No, we don't want your cap. We just want your rent." Remember that? And then KW's like, "Yo, we have a cap, and then you don't pay us anymore." And then Glenn said, "Wait, hold up, I got it now, right?
Yeah.
Now I got it. We don't have all this overhead, right? We don't have to pay all these people because there's an incentive to show the model and attract agents, because we don't have to pay the rent and team leaders and assistant team leaders and OPs and regional people and front desk girls, and we're going to give that money back to the agents, right? And when we do have this money, we're going to make money moves like buy KV Core and Sky Slope, and we're going to and look, man. So when I saw this model, Pat, I was like, "Oh, that's it. This is the one, right? This is the better, shinier, better mousetrap, if you want to say that, but it's not a trap."
Yep.
We all were driving in one lane, which was like the anxiety of having leads and getting leads and then closing leads and then taking care of leads so they close. And then Glenn's like, "But there's another lane that we can drive, which is, the opportunity about stocks and getting stock, and whoever's not is on this call is in eXp and not in the stock program is crazy to me, because me and Bobby have been killing it all year just on the stocks."
Yes.
We never had that before. I gave $387,000 to a franchise that I love, but Patty, $387,000 is a lot. I should be your neighbor at Port A right now, bro.
That's right. That's a lot of money right there.
That's a lot of money, son. And so,
yeah.
But now I have the opportunity to get discounted stock prices, and then we give our 16 grand to eXp, and then we icon, right? Like that was a big day for us, bro. That was a big day.
Huge.
And to get our money back, a portion of our money back, or all of our money back, man, is unheard of. And I can tell you, as much as I love KW, man, they got us on culture. It's always like there's this cult. They're a cult. Like, if anyone's here from San Antonio, try to get someone to not use USAA as insurance. It's impossible. Right. USAA is the most expensive insurance on earth, right? Their premiums are double what anything else is. But you try to get a USA member to not use USAA, it's impossible, right? They're like, no, it's USAA for us. And it's still, and it's the same thing with KW, and it's a testament to them, because they know that their agents are, loyal And I
Yeah.
was one of them. I was one of them. And you'll be surprised how many people have not seen the model, and how many people in this listening right now has not reached out to a unrecruitable agent like myself,
Right.
because they didn't have the testicular fortitude that Alan did to bring it up, right?
Yes.
You'll be surprised how many people don't know like what they don't know. And
That's,
I'm just super excited that this feels like when I joined KW in 2004. We were 80,000 agents, and guess what? When I joined here, we were 79,000 agents. So it feels the same. I feel the growth. I'm watching the momentum. They're making fun of us and they're copying us, brother. Real.
yes.
They're you know what I mean? And I got nothing to say bad about them, but when they're copying us, it's on, right? And so it's happening right now. I'm super excited. I just feel like I'm in the right place in the right time, man.
I love it, man. That's an amazing story, man. And we've become really good friends. You've come down to train and do some mastermind at the business training facility down in Rockport, and we like to have fun and just pick each other's brains. I mean, guys, he's a wealth of knowledge, right? And we haven't even touched on the commercial side, right? And so, guys, if you have any commercial leads or commercial deals that obviously residential agents don't know a lot about commercial, get with the expert, right? Don't get yourself in a lawsuit. Don't get the company in a lawsuit because you don't know commercial. Get with the experts, right? JJ and Bobby will help you, right? They'll do the deals with you guys, right? They'll mentor you, they'll coach you, right? And so that was one of my biggest things is whenever we were talking to them about coming on board, I said, guys, you have no idea how big this is going to be for not only eXp, but eXp commercial in San Antonio and in Texas, because guys, you have no idea how many agents call me and say, hey, I've got a commercial deal. I don't know anything about commercial. What do I do? I'm like, hey, talk to Bobby and JJ. That's not, and I told them, I said, your business is going to probably get a double or triple just because you guys have such a wealth of knowledge of commercial. And a lot of these, these resi-mercials, as we call them, resi-mercial agents that want to do both are needing help, and they're getting themselves into trouble and they're losing deals. I said, hey, just partner up with somebody that knows exactly what to do and learn from the best. And then if you want to go out and do commercial, then you can, right? And so they're a wealth of knowledge. So guys, if you have any commercial issues, any commercial deals,
I can touch on that a little bit, man.
Touch on that.
Yeah. So like at the end of the day, I learned my commercial, and it's a long story of how one day my business partner said, like, dude, just go do commercial because I'm built for it, right? It's not emotional. I guess I'm a robot or whatever, and good at math, whatever. But I've always, and I want everyone to know, I've been in this game going on almost 19 years, and all but 7 months of my entire career, I've been coached. And so every single month, every single week, I'm having weekly accountability with someone. I'm having someone with someone now. I learned commercial from the people that are not in San Antonio. I learned retail from Rich Schumann, that's out in Las Vegas, Nevada. He was my coach forever. He sent me to Sacramento, hang out with Harris Bay. They sent me to San Diego to learn office, and then I learned all my warehouse stuff in Houston. And I say that because it's really hard to get trained here against you don't want to train your competition, right? And so they're never going to do it. I learned commercial outside of San Antonio, and I will tell anyone on here, the resi-mercial thought process is like, hey, I'm just going to dabble in commercial. The only thing I would say, and not to scare anyone or anything, but look, man, if you really like mess up in residential, like the average sales price in San Antonio is what, like $350, let's say, give or take. And if you really mess up in residential, like if you really just messed up, like it's 100% your fault, right? Like what's the worst case scenario? You got to give that person back some earnest money. What $3,500? You got to probably reimburse them, another $500 for appraisal, and then another, $500 for the inspection. So let's just say $5,000. If you give someone $5,000 and say, I'm sorry, I didn't put dot the I's or cross that T or whatever, and you say, here's $5,000 out of my pocket, please, I don't want to get lawyers involved. That usually would probably do the trick, right?
Right.
Commercial is not that, man. And I would just tell everyone, every time I submit a letter of intent on a property, there's lawyers that are striking through my letter of intent, right? Every time I do a lease, there are 130 plus pages, and I have prepaid legal. I use lawyers to look over leases and that's a lease, not even a residential contract. So please get with someone to at least share do the deal with you. And that's how you learn, is you learn by doing the deal, but really just to avoid the legalities of it, because it could get really sticky for agents, because what you don't know, you don't know.
That's right. That's right. Yep. There you go, guys. You heard it from the expert right there. Yeah. Connect with JJ on Workplace. If you guys have any questions or whatnot. And I know, Eric, I see your hand up. Yeah, go ahead. And we got a few minutes left here. We got about 8 minutes left here. Definitely respect everybody's time. But if you have any questions, let's open it up for some Q&A right now. But JJ, man, great job. Great interview. I know you guys are out there crushing it, having fun. And man, I'm just so excited and so glad that, you guys made the transition over.
JJ, how do I get in touch with you? I have a guy on my team that's with FEMA, and he's been writing some commercial leases. He knows a lot about the legal side of it. He's so how can his name's Robert Wink. Is there a way I can get him directly in touch with you?
Yeah. I'm sure that, I can get your information. I can text you, or you can just text or call me direct. It's 210-367-6024. That's my direct.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
you can just text me. Again, that's or Valen or anyone. I was trying to get on my computer earlier, and that's what took me so long. So I'm on my phone, so I can't really mess with the chat right now.
Let's see. Okay, JJ, what is it? 210
367
367
6024.
6024. All right, guys, here it is.
And what's your last name, JJ?
It's Gorena, Gorena, like Al Gore, but with NA at the end. That's it. Oh yeah, Alan's got it right.
Well, JJ, you're going to enjoy working with Robert. He's a high producer. He's very effective in his usage.
Love it. Yep.
Can't wait. Next.
Yeah. Any other questions? He's got a question.
JJ and Pat. Just because I know what JJ's been doing, I don't think we touched upon it. I mean, he's been basically working obviously they're still selling a lot of real estate, him and Bobby, but also they've been, attracting agents and building that side of their business. And I know you guys are, I think it's 16 to 17 directly sponsored agents, JJ, since about February, March. And then I think a group size of about 23 to 25 total agents. Obviously we've got the Sherrards and people like that doing crazy things, but, we're all building it, I think, a little bit different. And to see JJ move that quick has been pretty amazing for myself, and I know for others. So JJ, if you could touch upon, what you're doing with that. And then I know a lot of what we're talking about is sales production based, which you've tied together really well. And I think people would love to hear that.
Yeah. You know what, to be honest, I know we're up on time. Look, when I came to the company, I was brutally honest with Alan and Pat. I said, man, this is exciting, but there's two things that I feel that we're lacking. We need some training, right? And we need to start making a big wave about numbers. We need to start telling our agents that they're doing well, because and for whatever reason, recruitment is easy for me, retention's hard, right? I'm very happy to announce I'm going to be the first success coach. That's going to be, I'm going to get my certification in January. I'm going to be the first one, I think, in Texas, or one of the first three.
Right.
Yeah. Because man, this is what we need. We need production. When you can get an agent to come over in your organization, great, congratulations. You might just be charming or good looking or whatever, but to keep them is hard. So when I talk to agents, you want to write this down. When I'm sitting in front of an agent at a Starbucks or a coffee or a restaurant, I get salt shakers and everything. I said, look, there's 7 things that any agent in the industry is going to need from day one to even my time and two decades in. They're going to need support, training, technology, leads. They're going to need affordable splits and fees, opportunity, and rev share, profit share, right? Like those are the ones, right? Culture, sorry, is the 7th one. So it's culture and opportunity are the last ones. And so when I ask an agent that in front of me, I go, so what's bugging you, girl? Or, where do you feel like you're lacking? And even in my entire career, they're going to say, you know what? I feel like I'm lacking this or I'm lacking that, because every brokerage, doesn't matter where they're at. They could probably have the best support ever, but they don't have the training, or they could have the best, whatever, but they don't have the technology, or they don't get any leads, or no one even knows how to get them leads, or And I said, look, and I go one by one. I go technology, KV Core, Sky Slope, game over. The world, we win. We're number one.
Yep.
We like our structure in having brokerages just there all the time for you. We're there. If you look at the world, we got support. Opportunity, I'm like, get out of here. Rev share and stocks, there's no bigger opportunity, right? Training, well, that's where we individually as organizations, like me, Pat, and Alan being organizations, we have masterminds of like I do in-house trainings for my organization. We have Zoom trainings every single week. We have, trainings every single month. So that's on us, and that's why I'm becoming a best coach. Which ones am I missing? Alan, what haven't I covered yet? Culture is another tough one for us because we're a cloud-based company and we don't high-five each other every day at the office, which is a waste of time and money. But that
Right.
culture thing is also, it's all of us and we talk about that, right, Pat? How do we maintain a culture? And it's happy hours and getting together. But the culture that me and Alan have created is the culture of production. We want to make sure that these people win when you help an agent save a deal because your trainings that you do, and they get another commission and they're able to pay their mortgage and their car payments, man, they're not going anywhere. And by the way, if you can stack some agents under them, which I've been doing, like, because I learned from the best, which is Pat. Well, now I have, I'm stacking.
Golden handcuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to leave because that revenue share is going to start growing now. Yep.
Yeah, and you can, so there's that. But I have, and we all have, a solution for their problem. You're like a dentist. You're like, all right, does this hurt? Okay, does this one hurt? Does this one hurt? And you're gonna find it. And when you feel that,
yep,
yeah, you feel that pain point. Say, oh, you don't have, the technology, or you don't leave. Oh, we got KV Core, man. Like, yeah, you can go be, waiting for a fish, or I can teach you how to fish. Come to our monthly Andrew Marine class, and I'm going to teach you how to fish forever. Or you can come to my database class. I'm going to teach you how to fish forever. Like, so every single one of those pain points we have a solution for. And man, I treat these like listing appointments. Alan's been there. He's seen it in person. I've seen you out in action too, Pat. Learn the model. Brent Grove, man, that bro, it was my Bible at the beginning. Learn the model. Can you sit down with someone in a cocktail napkin and show them how they could have made more money in this model than last year with the organization, doing the exact same thing they did last year, not changing a thing, right? Do you know the model? Can you talk about it? Can you talk about it like you can a market analysis, right? Like that's how you should be thinking about this growth. If you take it serious, which I did from day one, I mean, I feel like that's and then just contact agents when I'm not a cool at all. I just say like, hey, I just invite them to the next training, and then we become boys or friends or not. I'm not a hard sales guy.
I love it, man. Good stuff, man. Well, hey, we are right at the top of the hour. JJ, man, thanks so much for your time. Great interview. I loved it. A lot of great nuggets there, guys. Get with him. He's here to help. He really is. He's helped me out. He's helped Alan out. He's helped a lot of other eXp agents out with their questions, their issues. KW issues, commercial issues, whatever it is. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's been in the industry for a long time, and he's had a lot of success. And I'm just so blessed that him and his business partner, Bobby, made the transition over. And it was a lot of fun to help them with that transition because we all became very close friends with the transition. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Alan, thanks so much for everything. And Ian, thanks again for everything, man. You guys go out, have a great weekend. God bless. And we'll see you back here next Friday for Freedom Friday. Love you guys. Take care.
See you, bro.
Thanks, Pat.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, JJ.
Thanks,
Take
Pat.
care, man.
Absolutely.